Hey everyone, this is Jack Bourne, founder of Doubling Funnel, and we're back with Gillian Perkins. And this is where she's going to share some of her tips on how to get ideas for videos that have the potential of going viral. So, Gillian, great to have you here. Thank you for sharing this information.
Thank you so much for having me. So, when we're thinking about how to find viral video ideas, first of all, we have to think about the why, right? Well, if you're trying to use YouTube as a traffic source for your business, then that starts with people actually watching your videos. So, we need to make sure that we're finding topics that people are interested on YouTube and making videos about those topics so you're not wasting your time making awesome videos about topics that people are not interested in and are not going to click on. So that's kind of the why behind it. Now, a really important foundational step is something we were talking about in the free session, which is knowing what your channel is about. It is really hard. You will be unsuccessful at trying to find viral videos and turn your channel into a success if you don't have a general idea. And by general, I kind of mean a specific idea about what your channel is actually about. As I said in that session, it doesn't need to be super niche or obscure at all. It just needs to be specific. You need to be able to easily explain what your channel is about. It needs to be about one central thing. That thing can be kind of broad, but you need to know exactly what it is. So part of the reason why this is important, and also the thing I want to make sure you're avoiding, is that sometimes people think, well, I'll just find the most popular ideas on YouTube and then I'll make those videos. And it doesn't work out for them. They're not able to build a successful channel when it is variety like that, because they're not able to attract an audience that's interested in their channel overall. And typically when you try to recreate the most popular ideas, or you try to use those as ideas for topics, you're not able to do it as well, especially if you're just starting out and you don't have a lot of experience. So instead, we want to focus in on a topic and we want to find the very best ideas in that topic. Okay, so there's more that could be said about how do you know if your topic is big enough or broad enough, all that. But right now we're going to kind of sidestep that issue and we're just going to get into actually finding the video ideas within a topic. So like I said, it starts with a topic. So let's choose a topic. Let's say that your topic is going to be coffee. Okay. So I got this idea from this video right here, channel I've been watching sometimes lately. Morgan drinks coffee, because so she has a channel all about how to make coffee drinks, barista stuff like that. It's kind of niche, but it's at least specific, right? Like huge appeal, coffee drinkers, people who like coffee, but it's very specific. So we can start real broad here. And this is how I'd recommend you start. Start broad. Start by searching, if you don't know anything more specific than this, the big term, right? Coffee. Okay. Let's just see what comes up. We're just kind of trying to get a little bit of context here. Okay, this is going to start to give you some ideas. So any of these ideas that you think you might be interested in, just jot them down in kind of your brainstorming list for now. And this is purely based off of what sounds interesting to you. We'll get into in a few minutes here, looking at how you can then research those ideas and figure out like if it's a good enough idea, if there's enough demand for it. But right now you're just brainstorming. Okay, so you're just going to scroll through these ideas. You know, maybe you think a beginner's guide to buying great coffee. Okay, that could be a good fit for my channel. Probably don't want to talk about the ugly effect of coffee on the body, right? Our channel is about coffee. Right. The bizarre and surprising coffee of the Nespresso. Maybe you're interested in that, or maybe that prompts another idea. Like maybe you're like, oh, I could talk about different kinds of coffee makers, you know, Nespresso versus French press versus pour over, you know, these different styles of brewing coffee. So this, like I said, is a brainstorming session. Okay. So from there, where are we going to go? If you have some ideas already that you're like, I'm really interested in this, I just need to know if this is an idea that is likely to succeed, then you can kind of skip ahead to researching those specific ideas. So what you're going to do is you're going to just search for your video idea. So maybe now the idea is how to choose what coffee to buy. Now, big rule of thumb here, think like a human. Don't try to figure out like how to keyword research like a robot or like the perfect keyword research. Think like a human. Think about what you would do if you were looking for a video like that. Don't think about like the title you're going to give your video that's going to be like so clickbaity and awesome. Think about like, if I was looking for what kind of coffee to buy, what would I search? Maybe it's how to choose what coffee. Maybe it's what coffee is good, right? So think like a human, search a few things. And what you're looking for here, again, we want to go for the more like organic, the more human aspect of this. It's really going to serve you better long-term. So we're just going to look at the top 10 or so videos here, and you can definitely pull out your spreadsheet and add up these numbers, and that will serve you really well. But these top 10 videos, you're trying to answer two questions. First of all, are they actually a good fit for this keyword you typed in? Okay. Like, are they kind of like the video you're imagining making? These first, let's see. These first two, not really what I was thinking of, right? They're answering the question like, is coffee good for you? That's not what I was going for. This one, that's what I was thinking of. Coffee being bad for you, totally not what I was thinking of. Thursday morning jazz live, not what I was thinking of. Is coffee good for you? Okay. So now we've kind of like, we're starting to learn things. And that's what this process is about. Like learning things, again, not about like the perfect keyword research strategy. That's going to lead you astray. It's going to lead you down some super niche rabbit hole where you find like the perfect keyword that appeals to 5 people. That's not what we want. We're trying to figure out popularity here. We're trying to figure out where, you know, what pop culture is doing in our specific niche and what's popular and what's trending and that sort of thing. So one of two things is happening here. Either people are totally searching for this term and there's not a lot of good videos, or at least the videos that are made for that keyword aren't like, their metadata isn't right so that YouTube doesn't know they're for that keyword. Or else we're not thinking the way other people think, at least. And this isn't what other people would search. And not a lot of people are searching for this. So it's one of those two things. Now, this is where a tool like TubeBuddy comes in really handy. So there's a few different tools like this. There's TubeBuddy. There's vidIQ. Those are the ones that are cater the most to YouTube. You also can use something like Keywords Everywhere or Google's keyword planner tool. Those are excellent as well. But for the sake of this, I'm going to use TubeBuddy because that's what I have installed on my YouTube account right now. And it's like very YouTube friendly. So right now it's giving me some data for this keyword. What coffee is good? And it's telling me kind of how many people search for this. Let me kind of zoom in here a little bit.
While you're zooming in, is TubeBuddy, I'm not as familiar with that one. Is TubeBuddy free or is it paid? Is it free with a paid upgrade?
Yeah, that's a great question. I would say it's free with a paid upgrade. They have multiple price plans and it starts at free and you get some features there and then you can upgrade. And yeah, so you can kind of just start with the free one and see and take what it gives you. And then if you decide you want to upgrade, you can. So over here, it's giving you some stats. So it says the search volume. So this is like the number of people looking for this. We're getting into the green. So it actually thinks quite a few people are searching for this term. And then competition. Okay. So this is like how many other people are making videos about this term. We want it to be in the green, but that would actually mean not very many people are making videos about this term. And so here it says, yes, not very many people are making videos about exactly this term. So it's giving it this excellent keyword score, which basically means it thinks it's a popular term and not very competitive. So that's good. Now, you definitely need to be careful about this because you can very easily accidentally skew this by typing in a keyword that's too niche. If you type in a keyword that TubeBuddy or other keyword tools don't have enough data about, they tend to just be like, oh, this is great because there's no competition for it. So you just need to keep your thinking brain on. And if you type in something really obscure, like what coffee is good for cats to drink? Okay. Do you think people are searching this term? Like probably not very, but you might come over here and it might say it's great. Look at that. 100.
100 out of 100. Yep.
And 100 out of 100. And it's because there's no competition, right? And it's got cats in it. So clearly people are interested, right? Okay, so just be careful, make sure your brain is on and keep your search terms, and especially for your keyword research, simple, keep them around the actual keyword. Again, not like that title that you're imagining the video will actually have. It's about the keyword. Maybe it's a long tail keyword, but we want it to be the keyword. Like, what is this video about? Okay, so that's my biggest tip there. Just keep your brain turned on and use common sense here. Again, think like a human. So let's go back. What coffee is good? So another thing that this tells us is that the algorithm, it's this incredibly powerful machine that is designed to give people what they want. And so if people search what coffee is good, and then YouTube is giving them these videos about why coffee is good for you, that means that the algorithm, at least so far, has determined that that is what people want when they search this term. So again, kind of one of two things are happening. Either maybe people aren't really searching this term very much, and so YouTube's just latching onto coffee good or coffee is good and serving me videos based off of that because they don't know what coffee is good means, or else this is actually what people want when they search that term. So again, need to do a little bit more research here. So let's look at some other terms. So let's see, when we searched for coffee, these were some things that came up. Types of coffee. That could be interesting. We could make a video about all the different types of coffee. So again, like I said before, spreadsheet is your friend here. You're looking at the top 10 videos. Are they similar to the video that you are imagining making? Which in the last example, the answer is basically no. And so the keyword research strategies became a lot more complex at that point because there wasn't really obvious data. But here, suddenly we have, some obvious data. Types of coffee explained. All espresso drinks explained. How to make every coffee drink. Coffee menu explained. Okay, so these are all kind of similar to what we were thinking of, different types of coffee. Now, when I searched that, I was actually thinking more like Sumatra versus Colombian or something like that. But what we're actually getting served is different types of coffee drinks, which is interesting. That could tell us that there's more demand for that type of content. And that's the search intent behind this search inquiry. So that's something to keep in mind. But then the other thing we're doing here is, since these are similar to what we are looking for, you can add up these views, 1 million, 4.4 million, 3.6 for the top 10, then divide them by 10, and you will have the average number of views for those top 10 videos. And that number on its own is not meaningless, but close to. It's when you compare it to your other ideas that you can say, oh, this idea was more popular than that. And that can help you to make that decision between which video you should actually make. So a lot of this is exploratory, where you're searching for one term, it's giving you more ideas, you're writing those down, then you're researching those ideas, you're looking at the TubeBuddy stats. I mentioned earlier Google's keyword planner tool. That is the creme de la creme of the different keyword tools, because Google actually has the data. All the other keyword tools, they all are deriving their data secondhand from Google. And then they're organizing it in pretty ways so that you can understand it better, which is nice. But you want to go to the source. If there's really a debate about whether or not you should make a video about a keyword, if you're seeing conflicting data, that sort of thing, go to Google's free keyword planner tool. So that's...
Can I ask you a question about what we're seeing right here? Okay, so without moving your screen, in the search explorer for TubeBuddy, we're seeing green, so high search volume, but there's a fair amount of... Here we have
a number, which is key, okay? On those other terms, we didn't see a number, and that often means that TubeBuddy doesn't really know, and it's just kind of making an educated guess. But when you see a number, it's a more informed data.
Okay. Great to know. So in this case, the competition isn't sky high, but it's pretty strong. So when you're looking at a search term like this, what do you think, great, I want to go after this because of the search volume? Or are you thinking, maybe I should look for something where there's a little bit less competition? What is your thought process?
My thought is fantastic. Fan-freaking-tastic. People are searching for this term. Lots of people are making videos about this term. This term is hot. Now, does that mean I'm going to be able to easily rank for this term? No, it doesn't. But I'm not going to be able to easily rank for any term when I'm first starting out, because the algorithm doesn't start ranking you for terms until you've published about 35 videos on the platform. And those have to be 35 videos that people actually responded to some degree, so that the algorithm has some data on who even likes your videos. So when you're first starting out, you're going for suggested, and you're going for the few people who do stumble across your channel to love it, so that the algorithm has more clues about who likes your content. So it's way more important to make content that is going to have a broader appeal and have a really strong appeal with the people that it does appeal to, rather than going for something that's more niche, less competitive, so that you can rank, because the math isn't going to work out in your favor.
So let me take this opportunity to pick your brain. So specifically about my business. So for example, we're kind of bottom of funnel. Deadline funnel is for people who have already kind of established their business a little bit. It's certainly not for people who are just like, they quit their job yesterday and now they're just going to start their business. So there's a lot of people who are watching this video who in their own marketplace or in a similar position. It's sort of like, well, like my ideal client, my bullseye client, it's kind of a tight topic. It's not how to start a business online. So yeah. Would you recommend having like expanding that topic out and saying like the channel and saying, okay, the theme of this channel isn't about, evergreen marketing for course creators. It's more broad, but it definitely touches on those things.
Yeah, there's a sweet spot. Honestly, there's a sweet spot between making videos only designed for your perfect target customer, but it's so specific and it's so niche that it's going to be a really small pool of people and you're never going to be able to get traction on YouTube. And on the other hand, going too broad and having a huge pool of subscribers, 99.9% of which are not ever going to buy or even consider buying your product, right? Now, I have to ask you, deadline funnel, I mean, would it help? Would it hurt? How much would it help? If you had a YouTube channel with 1 million subscribers, channel's really broad. It's just about online marketing, let's say. Yep. Okay. 1 million people who are just interested in digital marketing. Like, how much is that going to help you?
Yeah, that's going to be a tremendous help.
Yeah, it's going to be a tremendous help. It's going to give you so much more visibility, more credibility. And even though it's a small percentage of those people that are interested in deadline funnel, it still is going to be a significant number of people. So I wouldn't be afraid of going broad, as long as you don't try to just go for like general pop culture, general entertainment. Sure. Like, it needs to be related, and you definitely need to make sure that those target audience, those target customers, potential target customers, that they are within that sphere, right? We don't want to be like, okay, so money is related to marketing, so we'll talk about money and we'll go for like how to make $1 million, because part of your target market isn't even in that group, right? And it's such a tiny percentage of that also. So make sure that your target market is like at the center of whatever this broad category you go for is, so that you can make sure like they're your bullseye, but it's totally fine to go broader and it's not going to hurt anything.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So I think I asked that question. It might have taken us off topic. So we were talking about keywords. You gave some great information about how you react to this. It's great to know that you're a signal like this. You're super excited because it's going to be high search volume. Just to recap, you're not at all what is the word, intimidated by the fact that there's other people making videos here, because in the beginning you're not ranking, like you're not getting extra help from the algorithm anyway, so go for it. What else do we want to know? I just want to make sure that
before we move on, I just want to emphasize the reason I'm not intimidated by this high competition is not because I have a YouTube channel with 600,000 subscribers already. That's not why. I was not intimidated just as much when I had a tiny channel that didn't have any subscribers yet. I still looked at this and was excited because that meant that this was a popular keyword and that If I made a good video about this topic, as soon as it started to get a little bit of traction, YouTube would do nothing but share it. And the people who did come to my channel, like again, happened to stumble across my channel, they would want to watch that video. And it was just all around a good thing. So let's move on now and talk about something slightly different. So just to, I guess, recap a tiny bit first. So far we've talked about kind of the brainstorming process, getting those initial ideas. Again, make sure you're writing down all the ideas. Then we've talked about how to start to filter those ideas by searching for the specific topics of the videos, specific topics of specific videos you're thinking about making, adding up just those top search results and dividing it to figure out those average view counts, and also a little bit about TubeBuddy and how to start to look at some of these numbers and what to, how to interpret them. So now we're going to talk about one more strategy, and it is called competitor research. And so this is where you find what I call model channels. So these are channels similar to what you want to create. Now, they might not be exactly what you want to create. They might be similar in topic, but a lot of their videos are different, or maybe they have a lot of videos that are the same as what you want to create, but technically their topic is different. You also could have other types of model channels. Like there might be a channel that you love how they make their videos, but it's kind of a separate issue. There also might be channels that have a very similar target audience, but they talk about a different topic. That's a little less common, but it definitely happens. So all of those things are worth considering. You always want to be looking for channels that you can look up to and learn from in one way or another. But the most common way that we use the model channels is channels that talk about the same topic and are doing well. And they're either growing quickly or they're already large. And so that we can mine their data and see what topics are performing well for them. So sticking with our coffee theme here, let's try to find a few different channels. Some of these might be good fits. Some of them might be not so good. I'm just going to click on the first 3 or 4 that came up here, as well as the channel that, if it still is around here, let's see, that was on the very first page. It might have disappeared. Okay. I don't see it right here. Maybe we'll find it a little bit later, but we'll just start with these first 4. So again, these might not be good fits. This one, I'm going to say not a good fit. Yep. They seem to be making kind of like more pop culture news, and somehow coffee fell within that realm. So we're going to X this one out. Okay, so now we're here. European coffee trip. Okay, sounds like similar to what we want, right? They definitely have a more travel focused theme. So this is kind of like a maybe. We'll maybe circle back around here, see how many of their videos are similar to what we want to make. Epicurious. Okay, so I knew about this one going in. It's a cooking channel. So yes, they make some videos about coffee, but it's a small percentage of their content. So it's not going to be a huge source for data for us. We could potentially learn something from it, but it's also such a big popular channel that the fact that they get 2 million views on a coffee related video, it doesn't tell us that much about that specific topic or keyword as it does just about the fact that their videos do well, right? So we'll get rid of that one too. And then we have Artisty Coffee Roasters, which sounds pretty perfect, right? If we're going to have a channel about coffee, this channel is on the smaller side, which is fine. Like as long as a channel has at least a couple thousand subscribers, there's going to be potentially significant enough data there to draw from. And then again, just when you start to get into like multiple millions, sometimes that can kind of obscure the data. So now, at least lately, they've been making these shorts, which kind of, again, messes up the data. So we're going to look back a little later here. And so we definitely have some videos similar to the sort of thing that I was imagining with this channel, which was like about different coffee drinks and how to make them and different types of coffee and how to do the different things related to making coffee. So that's basically what their content is about. This one, so this was the one that I said was a maybe. They've got some content that's similar to what I was thinking of, but then they also have this travel content. They have, what does a coffee roaster do at work? Probably not really what I was thinking of, because I was thinking of more like the home coffee maker. So definitely some data here. So here, there's 2 main things that we're going to do. One of them is we're going to look at their most recent videos, and we're just going to look for the ones that are similar to what we want to make. And we're going to look at the ones that like how many views they got relative to each other, basically. So of these most recent videos, the one that did the very best was this one right here, 5 barista hacks for better latte art. That, in my imaginary channel that I'm creating, fits within what I'm interested in making. So this idea is going onto my list for further research. Now, I'll also say here that, again, I like to do this more gut-based and less like technical numbers-based, because I find that the technical numbers tend to lead people astray. So at this point, if this is a video I'm super interested in making and it was a popular video on this one channel, I'd probably just go ahead and make it. But if you want to do a little more research to make sure that you're investing your time better, then, go for it, especially if you're new at this and you don't like trust your gut as much, or you're not as familiar with the algorithm, but it should at least go on your list. Then the one that got the next most views was this one right here. What does a coffee roaster do at work? It got views, but I'm not interested in making that video, so it's not going on my list. Okay. And then the only other one that's like a standout kind of above the kind of what is their baseline. So what I mean by that is, like, just glancing at these, I can see that their average is around like 15,000 or so views for their videos. So we've got several that have 15,000, a few that are below, a few that are above. So the only other one that's significantly above that would be this one, espresso roast versus filter roast coffee. What's the difference? That could fit within what I'm thinking of for this channel. Not necessarily like an idea that I'm super excited about, but it fits within the category. I might be interested in it. It's worth doing more research. So again, it's going on my list for more research. And when I say more research, I mean both kind of that bigger picture research where you just literally type in this title or the keywords from this title into YouTube search. You see what comes up. You add up those top results and divide them. Also looking at TubeBuddy, and also definitely looking at Google's keyword planner tool, because again, that is the source data. Okay, so let's do the second thing here, which is to sort by most popular. So this is showing you all of their most popular videos, the videos that have gotten the very most views on their channel. This is one of my favorite places to look for video ideas. So in looking at these, we're looking for two main things, kind of three. First of all is how long ago the video is published, because you might see some videos that were their most popular that are very old, and that data is now unreliable. So we're looking for videos that have been published within the last 2 years. However, YouTube says 2 years up until the video becomes 3 years old. It says 4 years up until the point when the video is 5 years old. So we don't want to look at videos that say 2 years ago. We want to look at videos that say a number of months or 1 year ago, and that will take you up to the 2-year mark. So looking at these most popular videos, we can see this one 11 months ago, 10 months ago, this one at 4 years ago, too old, so disregard. Now, of course, if you love the idea, still put it on your list. You can do more research. Maybe it's still relevant, but this doesn't prove that it still is relevant. 2 years ago, again, too old, because that means it could be up to 3 years. 11 months ago, 3 years ago, 2 years ago, so too old, 5 years ago, too old. Again, write down the idea if you like it, because you're looking for ideas that you're excited about. Okay, the other thing you're looking for is, of course, are these videos a good fit for your channel? So if you see one that is not too old, then you actually look at the title. Would that be something you might make on your channel? If so, it goes on the list. The other thing that you're paying attention to here is just how many views they actually got. So obviously 4.4 million, that shows that there's probably a lot of demand for that idea, or at least the way it was presented in this combination of thumbnail and title. People were at least interested in that. They're probably also interested in the topic. So as you scroll down here, again, we already established that at least their current baseline is around the 15,000 view mark. So if we start getting it down to around like 30,000, double that, then at that point, those videos aren't really stand out. And especially the older they are, the more time they've had to accumulate views. So it's even less meaningful. So scrolling down here, they did have quite a few videos that got hundreds of thousands of views. A lot of the time for the older videos, I'll kind of stop caring so much about this data when we get to around 100,000 views, but it depends on your niche, because depending on what topic you talk about on your channel, 1 million views might be the norm, or at least the norm for a good video. And then in other niches, 5,000 views is the norm for a good video. So you're going to get a better sense of this the more data, the more research you do, because you'll become more familiar with your niche and how content performs in your niche and with the algorithm as a whole. So I'd probably keep going down here in this case to around like the 50 to 100,000 mark, caring less about these video ideas. So like only writing down the ones that are stand out. So again, this is mining for ideas. And then you're going to take these ideas and you're going to do the keyword research on them to figure out which of those ideas are actually best. So let's look at this one other channel and we'll wrap this up. So this channel, again, it looks like a really good fit for the type of channel that we were thinking to create. They have got these shorts they've been publishing recently. Of course, if you want to do shorts, you could look at that data as well. They're a bit more of a wild card, a bit less predictable. So not necessarily like the most proven strategy for growing your channel at all. So we're going to scroll down here to before they started doing all these shorts. And it looks like their view count is all over the place. I'm seeing everywhere between like about 2,000 views up to, hundreds of thousands of views. Now, most likely what this actually means, because these videos are now a few months old, is that their baseline is actually more like the 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 mark. And that these videos that got hundreds of thousands of views or 50,000 views, they've just had enough time and they performed really well in search and suggested over time, which is really good. That's really valuable data for you, because that means that this channel itself isn't necessarily like a super popular channel that always gets 50,000 views on a video. They normally get like 3,000, but those topics were so good that people who don't normally watch their channel watched those videos. So this is actually really good for you. It's not necessarily great for them because it means people aren't coming back for more on their channel very much, but it's great data for you. So first one I'm noticing here is this Americano versus long black. What's the difference? Okay, so this both gives me a specific idea. Maybe people want to know what an Americano is, but it also gives me an idea that I could do all sorts of different, like this versus this, what's the difference types videos. And then coming down here, we've also got this latte art fails. Here are the mistakes you're making and how to fix them, coming in at 156,000 views. Definitely going on the list. That is the sort of thing I'm looking for. Where should we go from here, Jack?
Well, so what popped in my mind was, something, tell me if I'm right or wrong, but when I look at, I think it's great I think I love the point that you made where if you've got a channel where there's an outlier where, this video latte art fails, here are the mistakes you're making, the number of views is so much higher than their baseline. So something about that, like you said, the algorithm just loved it, kept recommending it. And so I'm wondering, like not only is that topic potentially interesting and should go on the list for further research, but also what's going on in my mind is maybe it's the mistakes part that, is sort of a topic twist that, I don't want to overdo it, but I could think like, what are some other variations of, mistakes that people are making? Maybe that's what really, got a lot of people to click on that because they want to know what mistakes am I making?
Yeah, for sure. So it gives you a huge slew of ideas for videos of that format, or even maybe a specific series like that.
Yeah. So it sounds to me, I just want to kind of wrap up. This has just been amazing. And thank you for taking so much time to share this research process. But it sounds like in the main section, you talked about the concept of coming up with 50 video ideas. And then this feels like a process to both validate some of those ideas, to invalidate some of those ideas, and to get a better idea of which of these ideas are really going to work well. Maybe it gives us some ideas about how to shape the actual topic of the title of the video, even the content of the video, but also mining for new ideas that could be added to our list. So just want to make sure that summary and what I'm getting out of this is what you were intending.
Yeah, absolutely. I also want to address just real quick a question or thought or concern that a lot of people have around this process. And that is, well, don't I need to do something unique? I don't want to copy people. I need to be my own person. Okay, you can completely be your own person and make your own video in completely your own way. It can you're not copying anyone, but you're not going to invent a new topic. And if you do invent a new topic, there's not going to be very much interest in it. Right. So what we're looking for here is really specific topics of videos. And it's not about copying other people's videos or other people's titles or other people's thumbnails. It's about getting inspiration and also figuring out what there is demand for, what there is interest in. And of course, you can just ignore that and just completely do your own thing, but you will be flying blind and it'll just be completely a gamble. So I would highly recommend doing this process, getting the inspiration, doing the research, and set aside those feelings that you're copying someone, because you're not. You're just finding out what there is actually interest in.
And I would imagine the more that you do this type of research, the more, and also the feedback that you're getting from your own videos that you create, the more you're going to get a sense of what topics are trending, what people are really responding to. But this is a fantastic way to start out. And thank you for sharing those resources in your process. This has really been terrific. So Gillian, you've been super generous with your time and your wisdom and your experience. We're going to make sure that the link to that workshop is available. Is there anything else that you want to tell us about things that you're doing or things that you're experimenting with in the YouTube world before we say goodbye?
Yeah, well, if people want to learn more about YouTube and I talk in my business and in my content, both specifically about YouTube, but in a broader sense about building a successful online businesses from scratch. And I love to use YouTube as a tool to do that. So as you mentioned back in the free session, I have a podcast called Work Less, Earn More. Also published videos on YouTube every single week, all about digital entrepreneurship. So if, the people who are listening right now are interested in learning how to take their new business idea to the next level, then I would, love to welcome them into my community and teach them some of the things that have worked for me.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Gillian.